At this point, it's my honor to call upon Rabbi Perelmutter. Rabbi Perelmutter was born in Montreal, Canada. He's a child of Holocaust survivors. And he went on to various areas in the world. He ran the Chabad Center at Boston University for several years together with his wife Connie, and then moved here to California, which that's usually the direction people go and don't go back. And here he is. He was involved very strongly with the Hebrew Academy, and then began the Shul by the Shore, which is just down the block on PCH, and runs successful programs, prayer services, and is much beloved by all the people that come in contact with him. And he was a great friend of Ron, a great friend of the family, and we're really delighted and honored that he's able to come tonight and to pay tribute. Please give your attention to Rabbi Perelmutter. I want to remind everyone to please silence their cell phones. Thank you.
You didn't tell me that I'm going to be coming after Elizabeth. Thank you very much. You told me I was going to come before Elizabeth. Now what am I supposed to say? Honored rabbis, Elizabeth, Stefan, Jakey, extended Gilbert family, friends, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, let me say thank you very, very much for having me here. I feel truly honored that you allowed me to participate in such a wonderful and important event. I want to start off tonight by talking about hockey, ice hockey. Right? Rabbi Sully had mentioned that I'm from Montreal. I'm a huge Montreal Canadiens fan. Now, why should that matter to you? Because if memory serves me correctly, this is going back to the time when I was taller than Stefan. So we're going back quite a number of years when he came to the preschool. And one day I overhear a conversation from a young guy, and he's talking about hockey, ice hockey. And I think to myself, oh my gosh, there's another fan here in Southern California? So immediately I introduced myself to him. Turned out to be, of course, Ron. And Ron was, to my surprise and my excitement, a hockey fan. So that began our relationship. Also turns out that Ron was also a fan of the Jim Rome show. For those who are sports fans and know who Jim Rome is, he was a popular sports talk show host, and Ron would listen, and I would listen, and in the morning we would giggle and start to tell the stories about, hey, you remember the dentist from Tufton, and all the zany characters, and all the weird people that were on the show, and it was just a pleasure, and I would wait for the opportunity when he would come to drop off Stefan so we can go over to the Jim Rome show and talk some hockey. Because that's not something you usually have here in Southern California. For those who know Ron, and everyone here I'm assuming does, it's no surprise to hear that he was a sports fan, because as it turned out, Ron knew a lot about a lot. I mean, his mind was always curious, insatiable curiosity, deep thinker. So as we began to develop this relationship, and later on in life, you can ask Ron almost about anything, from Torah to medicine, from parenting to sports, and everything in between. And the beauty of it was that he can relate to a sports fan as easy as he can relate to a rabbi. Not that Rabbi Berkowitz is not a sports fan, don't get me wrong. I don't know if he's a hockey fan. He looks more like a rugby fan, if you ask me. And this was one of Ron's gifts, that this idea to be able to just accept everyone for what they are and who they are, and their interests, was truly a blessing on my part. We as humans tend to over-exaggerate and inflate a deceased person's reputation. I think it makes us feel better in case we ever did anything wrong to them. So we say, after they pass away, this person was just incredible, unbelievable. You wouldn't, with Ron, the difficulty is that it's hard to demarcate where reality ends and inflation begins. Because he was truly a remarkable person. You heard from Elizabeth that he wasn't perfect. Ron had his issues. But whereas people who have issues dealing with a character flaw, all right, I'm an angry guy and I'll remain angry. I'm a cheapskate and I'll remain a cheapskate. But not Ron Gilbert. Ron worked hard on himself. Really tried to be the best that he can possibly be. For Elizabeth, for the boys, for the community, for his friends, for his patients. He always tried to make the right decision. And tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to just share with you a little bit about how we, as gathered here this evening, should try and can do our best to make the right decisions. There are two young fish swimming in a lake. They're having a good time, they're swimming. From a distance, they see an older fish coming towards them. As the older fish passes the two young fish, he turns to them and says to them, "How's the water?" No answer. The two fish swim on. A little while later, one fish turns to the other fish and says, "What the hell is water?" Now, this is not a joke, because the immediate question that this story demands that we ask is, why are the most important and obvious realities the hardest to see or to talk about? We'll get back to the fish in a moment, because I mentioned about making good decisions, and I see already there's some skeptics in the room that are looking at me and are saying in their minds, "Rabbi, you don't mean me." Because I'm a decent person, like this guy right here in front. He's looking at me as a skeptic. I'm not talking to Rabbi Zavdi. He always makes the right decisions. He's a nice guy. So you're thinking to yourself, he's probably not talking about me, because I'm a decent person. I always try to make the right decision. So what can he add to me? So let me tell you a truism, ladies and gentlemen. People are selfish. You are selfish. We, at the core of our belief system, think that we are the absolute center of the universe. If you don't believe me, ask my mother. She will tell you that I am the most important person in the world. And everyone feels the same way. We feel that the world was created bishvili, because of me. Everything here is happening. Everything is happening. We don't like to talk about this in public, ladies and gentlemen, because it's socially repulsive. You're not going to say, "Hey, look at me, I'm great, I'm wonderful, I'm important." But in reality, it's pretty much the same by everybody. I'm not judging anybody harshly, God forbid, and I don't say it's our default setting, hardwired into our boards at birth. I'd like you to think about this for a moment. There's no experience, not one experience that you have had that you are not the center of that experience. Every experience that you've had since you came into this world is right dead center in front of you, in back of you, to the side of you, on your television, on your computers, on your phones. Everything has to do with you. Your friends' feelings, their thoughts have to be communicated to you. But your feelings and thoughts, they are real. They're immediate. They're intense. They're all about me. All about me. And that's the way, ladies and gentlemen, we normally make our decisions. Whatever the request is, whatever you're going to experience, the first thought in your mind is going to be, you're going to fall back on your default setting, and you're going to say, what's in it for me? How's this going to affect me? What's going to happen to little poor me? I mean, I'm standing over here already thinking I'm talking to you, but I saw the food before. So I'm thinking now, how am I going to break through the women's section to get to the food first? That's it, because I'm falling back on my default setting, saying to myself, it's all about me. And if I don't get there quickly and I see the crowd here, we're mostly Jewish, there's not going to be anything left by the time I get there. So if anybody doesn't trust me, if you don't believe me, that this is absolutely true, just think about yourself, that what happened to you today. Think of all the decisions you made today. And how many decisions did you allow yourself to think of someone else? Does it have to be this way? No, it doesn't have to be this way. There is an antidote for our natural selfishness. There is medicine for it. It is a wonderful gift that God bestowed upon us. And it is called free choice. Choice. Every one of us in this room and every human being throughout the world has been imbued with one gene that is selfish and also one gene that is holy. Unfortunately, the bad news, ladies and gentlemen, is that the selfish gene comes to us without any effort whatsoever. It's subconscious, it comes unconscious, it doesn't care about conscious. That default mode setting, imbued in our minds, penetrates into our hearts without the slightest effort on our part. We don't even have to think about being selfish. It's automatic. The holy gene, on the other hand, needs a little bit of help. It needs for us to understand that we have the capability within ourselves, in our soul, in our body, in our minds, in our thoughts, in our speech and our actions, to do the right thing. But it's not easy. Let's get down to some concrete. I don't like to live in the world of theory and philosophy and psychology. Let's talk about practicality for a moment. You have just finished a hard day's work. You've been beaten up in your office, and all you want to do is just go home, have supper, relax for a couple of hours, and hit the sack early, because the next day we're at it all over again. So you get into your car, and on your way home you remembered that there's nothing to eat. There's nothing to eat at home. So what are you going to do? You've got to go to the supermarket. This is after 5 o'clock, through the traffic. You drive into the parking lot. And you're not the only schmo that decided to shop at 5:15, at 5:30. You have to find a parking spot. You get into the parking spot. You get into the supermarket. You get yourself a cart. One of the legs is rickety, so it's bouncing around, bing, up and down. It's going the wrong way. You have to fight your way through the aisles. Crying babies, angry people, slow, glacier-type old people who are moving at the speed of nothing, of zero. Every single aisle looks to you like a marathon. Okay? They're out of your favorite pasta. By now your head is ready to explode. You finally, you've made it. You've made it to the end of your shopping list. With your rickety cart, you'll go up to the checkout aisles, and of course there's never enough checkout people. You wait in line, and you wait, and you wait, and you're looking at all the stupid, ugly, dumb people that are in your way. What are they doing here? I'm hungry. I'm exhausted. I want to go home. And you look like you're dead already. What are you here for? And you finally make it up to the counter. And you give the clerk the items. And she says in a voice that only comes from some place that no living being has ever been, "Have a good day." And you think to yourself, you're ready to do brrrr. All right? You take your items in your arm because there's no more flimsy bags anymore. So you forgot your bag. So you're carrying your 15 items, trying to juggle it in your bosom. And then you open up your trunk. 8 items end up on the floor. All right? You finally stick it into your trunk, knowing that all the way home they're going to be rattling and rocking and coming and going and banging against each other. You get back on the freeway. Animals, people cutting in front of you, going back and forth. People driving these big SUVs, eating up our energy. And you come home and you are ready to explode. You're angry and you're frustrated. Who am I talking about? That's right. Everyone's sitting here. Everybody's sitting here. Why? Because that is our natural way we operate. It's not our fault. Not judging anybody. I've seen you in line. I hate you too. All right? It doesn't matter to me. But that's the way we are hardwired. It's all about me. Getting me out of the line. Getting me home quickly. Getting the food in the oven. I'm starving. I don't care about anything. Just thinking about it, I'm already... Is there a cardiologist in the room? Ron, he was the other side. Can't help me. But a heart attack, all right? So Maimonides writes. Maimonides, right? Great Jewish scribe, writes like this. Free will is granted to everyone. If one desires to turn himself to the path of good and be righteous, choice is his. Should he desire to turn to the path of evil and be wicked, choice is his. This is the intent of the Torah statement, behold, man has become unique as ourselves, knowing good and evil. That is, the human species became singular in the world with no other species resembling it in the following quality. That man can, on his own initiative, with his knowledge and thought, know good and evil, and do what he desires. There is no one who can prevent him from doing good or bad. That's us, ladies and gentlemen. Every single day we are faced with these challenges. Every day, hundreds of times, we have opportunities. What am I going to do? I'm at the crossroad. Why? Left, right, left. Yes, no. Do I care? Don't I care? What am I going to do? So, 99% of the time, we're just going to do what comes natural to us. What's in it for me? That's going to be our slogan. So when we're standing online and looking at all these people that are preventing me from accomplishing what I set out to do, all I am is angry, frustrated, and infuriated. But not today. Not today. Because I went to a lecture at Chabad of West Orange County, and I heard some guy who looks like a goat say that you have a choice. You can do and think and act differently. So today, ladies and gentlemen, I'm standing in Ralph Vaughn's pavilions, Trader Joe's, and I'm going to try a new trick. I'm not going to allow all of those negative thoughts that naturally come into my mind. I am going to try to be a better person. I'm going to allow that holy gene that resides in my heart to penetrate into my mind and then flow down into my heart and allow myself the possibility of thinking positively. And maybe, just maybe, that mother with the crying child, maybe she was that AAA agent that helped me today when I had that serious problem, and she was so kind to me on the phone. Maybe that's her. And possibly the guy on the road that's zipping in and out and out and in and out, maybe he's rushing to take his wife to the hospital because she's about to deliver, and actually I'm in his way. I'm the one that's the problem, not the guy that's zipping in and out and in. It's me. And I stand in line and I look around at the faces, and instead of seeing dumb, stupid morons, what do I see? People that may have worked harder than me today. There may be a person whose life is more painful than me. There may be a person's life that's more frustrated than me. We are all in the same boat together. And as I stand in line, so instead of my blood pressure going through the roof and my heart about to explode and my head throbbing, I all of a sudden, I'm calmer. I'm less stressed. And I remember something that someone once told me, that 85% of illnesses are directly related to stress. So I'm even healthier. And I walk out with those 15 items still juggling, because it hasn't changed a lot just because I'm happier. The law hasn't changed. So I'm still juggling the 15 items, but instead of getting 8 into the trunk, 11 get into the trunk. And when I sit down and I turn the key, and if it's not a Chabad rabbi's car, but if it's a car that you're driving, it actually starts, then all of a sudden, I'm more confident. I'm more hopeful. Where yesterday I was angry, where yesterday I was frustrated, today it's being substituted by relief, by a smile, by hope in humanity, by even, I dare say, a little caring. Allow, ladies and gentlemen, I beseech you, allow the positivity of what rests naturally inside of you to please come out. I see someone already is looking at me and is thinking, I think it's that guy in the back there with the hat, he's looking at me. Okay? And he's saying to himself, Rabbi, it seems very complicated. Right? This whole idea of decisions and of the dissension, and there's always tension going on into ourselves. Why, Rabbi? Why couldn't God just have made it very simple? Give us one gene, stop at the holy gene, keep the selfish gene, and guess what? No problem, game over. We'd all be standing in line with big smiles on our faces, and we'd all go home, and we'd be happy, and there is a place like that. I ended up in a hospital a few times with, my arms covered, the walls are padded, everyone's smiling, no problem. It's called the Garden of Eden Hospital, You don't want to end up there, trust me. To get it? Okay, let's get back to the subject. I'm reverting to. Okay, so why did God make life so complicated? It's good that you asked that question, because if you come to Shul on Shabbos, on this Saturday, we're going to be reading a very important section of the Torah. It's about the giving of the 10 Commandments. Now there's a little tale that goes with it that's not in the book explicitly, but we have it on what we call the oral tradition. That when Moses went up to receive the Torah, the angels came to God and complained. They're probably Jewish, what could you do? They started to say, why give him the Torah? What's he doing here? He doesn't deserve it. So God says to Moses, all right, answer them. They have good questions. So Moses looks to them and says, I want to ask you a question. Do you guys possess a selfish gene? Do you guys have a mother and a father? Did you ever desire, even in the least bit, to steal, to rob, to commit adultery, to kidnap, to cheat, to lie? Did you? The angels who are, unidimensional, not like us, multidimensional and complicated and crazy, they're normal and straight. So they say no, 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 and no. We don't have these things. So Moses says, so what good is the Torah to you? Look at the 10 Commandments. Every one of those commandments comes with a challenge. Number 5, honor your father and your mother. Now, naturally, we have love. But think about every day. Really? Never say a harsh word? Never said behind their back they don't know what they're doing? My parents were Holocaust survivors. I grew up in Montreal. I was a Montreal Canadiens fan, and my father thought it's the biggest waste of time in the world. You think we saw eye to eye during the playoffs? We didn't talk? Forget about it. He went to show 3 times a day, and I watched hockey. That's the way it was. Was that respect? It was a challenge. And every one of us has those challenges. So Moses says to the angels, sorry guys, this is not for you. It's for us. And an incredible thing happens. And think about this. Only in this world, in this plane, where we have people with all of these conflicts going on inside of them, the holy gene, the selfish gene, every day battling for dominion of the individual. Do this, don't do that, no, care, don't care, eat it, don't eat it, steal it, don't steal it. Only in this world does the truly divine reside. Here, in this world of crazy human beings, with all of the world's wild and wacky things that are going on, this is where God wanted it to happen. You know why, ladies and gentlemen? Because He believes in us. He believes that we can do what is right. He knows that He has given us all of the necessary ingredients to stand up to challenges. I never ever like to estimate anyone's challenges against anybody else's, because it's not fair. But God, in His ultimate wisdom and caring and love, knows the truth. And He put us here on this earth and gave us the strength to overcome and to do what's right. And that is why Moses came down from the mountain and said to the people of Israel, listen, we're going to take the Torah. It's going to be a challenge. We're never going to be the popular ones in the world, because we are going to be God's water carriers here on the world. To live a moral, ethical, meaningful, and holy life. It's crazy to think about it. It's wild that only to human beings that God agreed to do this. And therefore, when we stand on that line and we think about all of the challenges that are facing us during that day, we go back to the original day that Moses came down from the mountain and looked at the first Perelmutter or the first Zavdi or the first anyone and said to them, listen, I am giving you a gift, and I want you to take this gift seriously, because you are going to be the first of the chain of golden tradition in Judaism. And since that generation, every single and subsequent generation passed on. And at a bar mitzvah and at a bat mitzvah, the child comes up and they get their own link, their own clasp in this wonderful tradition that we call Judaism. So how come we're not perfect? So let me tell you another truism, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen. There are in the real world no atheists. Atheism does not exist. Yes, it may exist in academia. If you go to colleges, in the ivory towers, where they sit there and they think and they scratch and they ponder and they go to the mikveh, whatever they do up there. But in the real world, ladies and gentlemen, where we find ourselves, there are no atheists. Everybody worships. The great thing is we get to choose what we worship. Here in America, the challenges to the Jewish community are not challenges of years bygone, as we had in Russia with communism, and God forbid, in Eastern Europe, Western Europe with the Nazis, or going back, Torquemada. Today in America, we have challenges that are more insidious, because America welcomes us. They said, come on in. We love you. We don't care. You want to go to shul? Go to shul. You don't want to go to shul? Don't go to shul. There's two things that you have to do here in America. Numero uno, that's English for California. Number one is pay your taxes. Number two, don't try to overthrow the government. That's it. Simple. You want to dance on Simchas Torah? Dance. You know what? As a matter of fact, if you want to dance on Tisha B'Av, you can dance too. No one is going to arrest you. Because in America, we need to engage, and we decide and we choose where and when and how we worship. Unfortunately, too many of our brothers and sisters have found ideas and issues and matters that are here today and gone tomorrow to worship. Take, for example, my friend Jack Schwartz. Jack Schwartz is a very successful businessman. He came here to America with nothing. He scratched and he worked. He did everything he was supposed to do according to the American way of doing things. And he became extremely successful with a large string of clothing stores around the United States of America. So what do I do as a Chabad rabbi when I meet a successful guy with a lot of money? Do you think I talk Torah to him? No. I talk hockey to him. That's what I do. So I call up Mr. Jack Schwartz and I say, Jack, you're here in America. You ended up in California. The shul needs money. And you have been chosen today to be the sacrifice. So I need you to take a pen and a check and write out a $25,000 check to the shul today. And Jack Schwartz says to me two words that are not happy birthday. I'll leave it to your imagination. Whatever. People are terrible in this congregation. What did you think? He said, no, thank you. What did you think he said to me? Oh, what's going on over here? All right. Jack Schwartz said, no, Rabbi, I'm not religious and I'm not supporting your cause. Poor Jack Schwartz. He was more religious than he thought he was. He worshipped. But what was his choice of deity? The almighty dollar. The dead Benjamins. That's what he chased till the last day of his life. One more deal. One more 100. One more store. That's going to be the identity of Jack Schwartz. Poor Jack Schwartz. You know what he took with him? Nothing. He left everything here, and the government got most of it. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you think that you are going to worship money, you will forever be poor. Here in California, we worship beauty. You could never be too young, too thin here in California. We spend thousands of dollars picking our ears up, shoving our noses back, lifting our chins up. I'm trying to find a way to get taller. It's not working. I've tried everything. Tried Botox, Schmotox, and Lotox. Not 1/2 of an inch has this helped me. Nothing. So if you think that you're going to worship beauty, you'll forever feel ugly. And if you worship power, I promise you, ladies and gentlemen, you will always feel weak and threatened. Because for us, there's only one way. We will worship at the altar of the Almighty God. We will take the words of the Torah that Moses brought down from heaven and we will integrate them, because those words encourage us and challenge us to live lives of meaning, of compassion, of idealism, of peace, nurturing, values that are everlasting. For 3,500 years, those values have never taken a detour. They're true today as they were in the desert with Moses and the people, and Joshua and the people, and King David, and the Maimonides, and in Russia, and the Rebbe, all the same. It's straight path, truth. And that's where we, ladies and gentlemen, should choose to worship. The first Chabad Rebbe gave us an unbelievable gift called the Tanya. It's a work that challenges you. Every one of us, regardless of knowledge, of where we've been, where you've grown up, every single person can become the best person they can be. It takes effort. You don't fall back on your default mode setting. It takes effort, takes encouragement, takes concentration, takes learning. And in his introduction, he quotes the Torah where Moses says, I'm giving you the book, for this matter is very near to you in your mouths and in your hearts to be able to perform them. It's right there in front of us. All we need to do, ladies and gentlemen, is to reach out. Just to say to ourselves, when I'm standing in that line, I'm not allowing selfishness to crawl in, but I'm allowing holiness to cover me and to become one with me. This decision that we make that is the right one gives us something that we yearn for more than anything. And that is, ladies and gentlemen, freedom. But freedom is not from slavery. God did not take out the Jewish people to emancipate them so they should become good Egyptians. He took them out because He granted them the gift of real freedom. A freedom that involves attention, awareness, discipline, effort, to truly and sincerely care about people and to sacrifice for them over and over and over when it's not glamorous. Sure, there are times, a full congregation, I get up there, make $100,000 pledge, never intending to pay you, don't mind me, but just here in Shul, I want to give $100,000. Oh, wow, he's sacrificing. No, sacrifices every day. Small, little, itty-bitty things that we do for each other that are never come up on the New York Times front page, are never reported by Fox News. That's truly freedom. Ladies and gentlemen, the fish that were in the water had all this truth and awareness all around them. But they were oblivious. They swam with open eyes, but were blind. They didn't realize the kind of power that they had right there and then where they were. What the hell is water? And too often, we can fall into this trap. That this simple truth about Judaism, morality, meaning, that which is so real and essential, yet so hidden in plain sight all around us, that we have to keep reminding ourselves over and over and over, this is water, this is water. Ron knew this. He understood this. He knew that life deals you, whatever you are, God gives you a soul that's His gift to you. How you return that soul is your gift to God. And he worked hard at being a better person. You heard how beautiful Elizabeth described him. And we here are all better off just by the mere fact that we knew him. That we were able to come in his 4 cubits made us better people. We miss Ron very, very, very much. Not because he was the smartest guy in the room, or he was the funniest guy in the room, or the richest guy in the room. We miss him because he lived a life worth living. May his family, Elizabeth, Stefan, Jakey, find comfort in his memory, and may we all find the courage and fortitude to pursue our own perfection. Thank you. You want the mic? Oh.
Thank you, Rabbi Perelmutter. Thank you for mentioning me.
See, there you go.
Yes, yeah.
There you go. Thank you for proving my point.